been making music ever since the crack boom. Country rap tunes. Coming down. Country rap tunes. Gotta have guitars and a lot of backbone. Come to the South once, I bet you'll be back soon. Coming down. Country rap tunes. Coming down. Country rap tunes.
What's up with it, man? This your boy Cory Mo back off in this thing one more time for the Country Rap Tunes podcast, and I have a super duper ridiculously special guest in the building. She goes by the name of Wendy Day. I call her Wendy Digital, and she has worked with everybody under the sun. I don't even want to go through the list, but boy, I'm telling you, it's everybody. Shit, it's so many, Wendy. God damn.
It just means I'm old.
Man, David Banner, Trouble, Raz Cass, Young Buck, Juvenile, C Murder, Lil Wayne, Eminem, the whole Cash Money roster, UGK, Boosie, Webby, Public Enemy, Tupac. Good googly goo, girl. You've been.
I never sleep.
You've been doing this thing for a little while, right?
I have, yes, 28 years. So obviously I started when I was 2.
Oh my God. That's what's up, man. You are way too gangster, man. I appreciate you coming on. This young lady has been helping me out for so many years, from recommendations for beats, mixing and mastering. She done wrote letters, and I mean, golly, man. 15, 20 years I've been knowing this young lady, man, and you know what I mean? Shit, we just been getting to it, you know what I mean? So I just want to say I appreciate you coming on and being such a gangster.
So happy to be here.
Being such a gangster for all these years, man. So first of all, how are you doing in this quarantine environment? And you know, what do you think about all this stuff that's going on? Is it a virus that started in China? Is it the 5G? Is it population control? Is it Donald Trump? Is it the end of the world? What the fuck going on, Wendy?
You know, it's funny, and I don't know. The real answer to that is I don't know, just like none of us will ever know. I call it the zombie apocalypse, but
damn.
You know, as much as I hate the fact that people are dying, I am loving my quarantine. I have been in the house since the middle of March, and I am dangerous when I have extra time. Ooh, so I have been doing stuff around the house that I have not had time to do in the 4 years that I've lived here. I'm learning to speak Spanish. I actually have watched TV and movies, like binged watch them like most people. I don't normally get to watch TV. I don't normally have that kind of time. So I am loving this. You know, all of my clients are still working, putting out music, making money, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Word. Because I know the major labels kind of aren't right now, but we are so taking advantage of the fact that people are at home and they're seeking content, whether it's, you know, video content or music content. So I got to tell you, aside from the people dying, I am loving this.
I know, right? Man, I've been at the crib so much, man. I done flipped my whole basement into a full TV studio and recording studio. So I just been posted up like a thumbtack, man.
Me too. And I'm loving it. You know, in fairness, I've got a pretty large house and I'm here alone. So I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm not stuck. Like if I had been doing this when I lived in New York City, I'd be so miserable. I'd probably be outside running up and down the streets going, ah!
Straight up.
But, you know, I've got room to move around. I've got 3 different TVs. So if I don't feel like watching TV downstairs, I can watch it in my bedroom. It's just, and I've got my dog Gangster here with me. And this is the most time I've ever spent with my dog. And it's been awesome.
That's dope. That's what's up, man. All right, so look, I'm gonna take you back. Let's start off with who did you grow up listening to? Like who inspired you the most as far as on the music end?
When I was young and started listening to music, and I started listening to music really young, like 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there. I grew up in a household where we didn't really have music in the house. Really, the TV was on at night. and then during the day the house was just really quiet. So I listened to whatever was really on the radio, and I guess at that point, me and my dinosaur were listening to pop music. And then when I got old enough to really care about music, I was probably 11, 12, 13 years old. I had an older sister that was into rock and roll. So I listened to like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC. So I came up through rock, whereas most of the people that I work with in rap came up through R&B, you know? But I listened to rock, and then in 1980, I was put on to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Oh, shit. And from 1980 forward, all I gave a shit about was rap.
Straight up.
It's been the past, and that was, however many years ago it was. I told you I'm old. So in the past, maybe 10 or 15 years, I've gotten really heavy into like new age music and jazz. The truth is I listen to NPR on radio more than I do rap because I want to be relatively informed about the world. But I find that as I've gotten older, my tastes have changed a little bit. I still listen to rap. I still listen to the golden era of rap, and I listen to new rap. A lot of my peer group hates the new rap, but I don't. I love it. I think maybe because I've seen rap change so much since 1980 that I'm accepting of the changes, but I'm still loving the energy and the passion in the music.
Straight up. So how and when and why did you start the Rap Coalition?
In March of 1992, I started Rap Coalition. Remember, I came to this as a fan. I was a fan of the music first. So as I was learning about my favorite artists, I learned that a lot of them were getting jerked by their record labels or their production companies or their management companies. So I started Rap Coalition in March of 92 because I wanted to give back to rap. Like I felt like it gave me so much because it was the music that I turned to when I was sad or when I was happy. I mean, shit, it was the music that I fucked to as well. So like rap was everything to me, And I started Rap Coalition because I just got tired of hearing about my favorite artists getting jerked. And at that time, it was Eric B. and Rakim and X-Clan. Those were really the catalysts for me wanting to make a difference with rappers.
Wow, that's crazy. So like working with people like Public Enemy, man, Chuck D and Flav, like how was that? How did y'all start working?
I was kind of the only person doing what I was doing. And, I come from a background, a world where when I was growing up, in our family, we're always taught you don't brag, you don't name drop. So I came into the music industry very tight-lipped. Like I never really told anybody what I was doing or who I was working with because that's how I was raised. And I met an artist called Tupac back then. Man. And Tupac he was incarcerated at the time, and we were writing back and forth, and he was saying to me, okay, that's fine and good for the community that you came from, but you can't do that in rap. Like rap is all about boasting and bragging and telling people who you're down with. And you're a white woman trying to do this in a world of people of color. You're going to have to kind of abide by our rules. And he talked me into setting up a board of advisors. So that's what I did. And Chuck D was one of the first. Tupac was actually my first board member. Chuck was my second. So they were the people that I went to for advice about how to best help artists. And he was going through some shit at the time with Def Jam. So I got to see firsthand what an icon would go through. So I knew that if an icon was going through that kind of frustration, imagine what a new artist was going through.
Straight up. Damn, that's crazy as hell. So
Yep.
damn, just working with Pac. I mean, I had seen in some interview you was talking about right you had wrote a letter to him and he
Yes.
wrote you back and all of that. Like that is just so ill, man, to even be communicating with Tupac. God
Yeah. And it's
damn.
funny because I didn't even really like him at first. Like
Damn.
he was just so arrogant and so loud.
Yeah.
You know, I used to go to clubs in New York when he was first coming up, and he'd be there and he'd always have an entourage and he'd always be in the VIP line just acting a fool.
Yeah.
And there were times where I would be like in front of him in line, and he was just so loud, like not to me, but he was just so loud in general that I would get off the line and go stand in the back of the line, which I hated the back of the line just because I didn't want to be around the energy that he was drawing by
Wow.
being so in your face.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he kind of reminds me. He's like he's the West Coast Pimp C. So I want to take this back
Yeah.
to, so how did you end up meeting Pimp and working with UGK?
I met Chad. I flew to Ohio somewhere, and they were doing a concert, an outdoor concert. And I can't remember what year this was, but it was pretty early in my career because I remember the plane ticket being really expensive, and it wasn't. It was probably a couple $100. But back then, that was like all the money in the world.
Hmm.
And I flew out there, and I flew out there because I wanted to see the show. It was Too Short. It was UGK, and it was oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on their name, the Lynch Mob. And I was friends with Shorty from the Lynch Mob. He was part of my board of advisors. So I was really out there to watch the show more than anything.
Right.
And when I saw that UGK was there, because at the time they were like my favorite group. So I went to the hotel and I bumped into West Monroe, Mama. And Mama West brought me up to her hotel room. And then once she kind of feeled me out and I passed that sniff test,
Yeah.
she sent me down to Chad's room. And it's funny because he answered the door. It was before he was going on stage, right? He answered the door in his boxer shorts. And as a
Lord.
female in rap, we know you do not go into a man's hotel room if they're not dressed, because that's kind of like asking for it, right? So I was really afraid to walk in that room, and he's like, come on in. And you know how he was, like he was just so embracing and so real that I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk in his room, and I know if something goes horribly wrong, it's my fault. Nothing went wrong.
Damn.
He couldn't have been kinder. He couldn't have been nicer. We hit it off, and we were friends from that point on.
Straight up. That's crazy. So did you ever work with Boosie and Webby as well?
Yes.
With them? Okay,
When Trill Entertainment was first coming up, my friend Salim introduced me to the two guys that run their label, and I was actually shopping their deal
over at 300. Salim.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what's up. Shout out
Exactly.
to
He wasn't at 300 at the time. He
Right.
was, I think, at Def Jam at the time. He was at Def Jam at the time, and he introduced me to Mel and I'm sorry, I can't remember his partner's name. Like so many years have passed. But I was shopping a deal for them, and at the time that I was shopping the deal, they were really interested in signing to Asylum. I just didn't think the deal at Asylum was great. I really felt like if the guys could go to a label like Universal or Def Jam or Interscope. Def Jam didn't want them. Salim was at Def Jam. But if they could have gone to a major label that was really killing it in rap, I felt like Boosie especially could be the next Tupac. I felt that he could be like super large. They ended up signing to Asylum, and I very respectfully like walked away and wished them the best. I just didn't think that Asylum's business model was great for rap at the time. That was just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I felt like if they had signed to a major label that really invested a lot of money into building Boosie and Webby's career, I think they could have been huge. Sort of like the way NBA YoungBoy is today, right? I really felt like they could be that large, and I just don't feel like they got the right opportunity at Asylum. No disrespect to Asylum. Asylum did great with Gucci Mane, but I just felt like they really dropped the ball on Trill Entertainment.
Damn, that's cool. So like, as far as,
and by the way, that's my opinion, not theirs.
Word, I could dig that. And like, as far as the Cash Money deal, I know that's like one of the biggest deals on the planet ever known to mankind. Like, how did I know you had met Baby them through Lump out there in H-Town.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But like, as far as working with them and negotiating a deal, like, how was that? Walking in there and demanding that type of deal and getting it back then, like, what the hell was that like, man?
I just knew that they could. Like, they had put out 31 records over a 6-year period. Like, they were not new to this, and they were making money.
They put out 30.
They put out 31 records over a 6-year period before I found them. Wow. I found them in 1997. I had been looking for them in New Orleans, but couldn't find them. And that was in May of 97. In August of 97, I got a call from Lump that said, hey, Wendy, I got these two brothers here, and I think you could really help them. And when he told me that it was Baby and Slim, I was like, oh my God, I've been looking for them. And I just couldn't find them. Like, a white chick going through the projects in New Orleans, surprise, didn't cut it.
No.
So once I found them, I realized their value, and I felt like it was my job to translate that value to one of the major labels. And we took them to every label. It was just me and my attorney, Peter Thea, and we took them like everywhere. And the very first deal was Neil Levine at Penalty Records. He offered a deal for just Juvenile at $75,000. And I knew that we could do better. So we passed on that. And by March of 98, which was 9 months later, there was a deal on the table for $30 million. So that just shows you, like, in that period of time, we put out music, and I helped them sell. Like, when I had first hooked up with them, they were selling like 5,000 to 25,000 on every release. I think at that time, BG Chopper City in the Ghetto was at 25,000, and that was their best selling album. And at that point, I put together a business plan and helped them put out an album, and we got to 75,000 in sales, which is when Universal got involved with Dino DeValier. And then the deal was kind of neck and neck between a label, and I can't remember the name anymore because just too much time has passed. But we were negotiating between these two companies, and the other, it was Universal and this other label, and that label was owned by Disney. And I was really afraid of the Cash Money lyrics coming out through that company. So we ended up doing the deal at Universal.
Wow. Man, that is absolutely retarded. God damn. Dude.
It was awesome.
So, okay, so let's fast forward a little bit and talk about the deal with Eminem. So you ended up meeting Eminem.
That was before.
Okay.
Eminem was before.
Well, damn. Tell me about Eminem. School me then. So how did that go?
M actually, it took them like 4 years to put, or 3 years to put out his first album. But with Eminem, I had met him in Detroit. He was rapping in a cypher with a rapper from Chicago that I was friends with called Rhymefest. Rhymefest is actually the rapper who wrote Jesus Walks for Kanye, many years later, right? Yeah. But Rhymefest at the time was like the best freestyle rapper, battle rapper that I knew. and I was in Chicago at the time, and I drove to Detroit to speak on a panel. So I brought him with me because why not, right? So he was rapping outside with Eminem while I was inside at the music conference. And when I came out, we ended up taking M to Denny's and just explaining the music industry and how everything works. And when I got back to New York, I tried shopping a deal for Eminem because Eminem, of course, like he's amazing. He was amazing back then too. But there was this difficulty in the music industry at the time of getting a white rapper signed. So even though I took him to all the labels, it wasn't really happening. I had just finished doing Twista's deal at Atlantic, which was a joint venture. So I was riding this high in the industry, and I was dealing with label presidents because the deal with Twista was done at a really high level. So I was dealing with the presidents of labels, and even they were like giving pushback on a white rapper.
Wow.
So I knew that we had to do some sort of like intermediary step, like something to get them to look less at his color and more at his talent. Right. And I set up this event in LA called Rap Olympics. And Rap Olympics did it. Like, it brought the music press, it brought the regular press, and it just showed off his incredible skill level in a way that made the label say, okay, maybe it doesn't matter that he's white. Maybe we can really make this happen. And he signed to Dr. Dre and Interscope at that point in time, which was a risk because back then Dre had only put out one album on his own label, Aftermath, and it tanked. So I was really nervous about Dre wanting to sign Eminem, but I knew that he had something to prove to the world. And I knew that Eminem's lyrical prowess over a Dre beat would be all that and a bucket of chicken.
I know that's right. Golly, I can just imagine. That's crazy, man. You work with all these icons, lady. My goodness. So like, okay, so David Banner.
I'm more excited about like what I'm doing now. It's, you know, it's always so funny because everybody wants to ask me about like the past, but for me, that was like over 20 years ago.
I know,
so
right?
Like in my daily life, I don't really think about this shit. Like I don't think about Eminem or Cash Money or Master P or David Banner. And I love them all dearly. But like for me right now, it's about my clients that I have now. Like right now I'm at radio for Little Donald during COVID-19, you know, so that's like my focus. That's really what I'm thinking about right now.
Straight up. Okay, so yeah, who all are you working with currently besides Donald?
I'm not going to name drop them because there's so many people out here that are going to like either hit me up and say, yo, so-and-so's whack, why are you working with him? Okay, or they're going to hit them up and be like, yo, fuck Wendy Day, you know? So I'm not going to sit here and name drop, but I will tell you this, like all of them are putting out music independently during the, you know, this whole Corona quarantine thing, and all of them are making noise, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, so like the streams is going up. Like tell me a little bit about the streaming numbers, like the streaming game and putting out your own independent album as an artist these days. So.
Well, the reason you want to be independent is so that you can make the lion's share of the money, because I know that folks watching this, they've seen the articles that talk about how there's no money in streaming, but that's not exactly true. It's less money than we had in the industry during the CD era, but it's also less work to get people to know who you are as an independent artist. So even though it takes more to make money, you can still earn a living doing this, and you may not have been able to back in the day with CDs. So for me, it's a much better scenario than it's ever been. You know, I'm super excited about what artists are doing today. Like, for example, with COVID-19, we've all been stuck in the house. Are we at like week 6 now or 5? We've been stuck in the house for a really long time, right? Yeah. And at the very beginning, the first week, everybody was like on Netflix, like, let's binge watch. What's the latest movie? What's the latest? Yo, watch Money Heist. Yo, watch Tiger Boy,
Tiger
whatever
King,
the fuck his name is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So we were all talking about that, and then all of a sudden, artists and DJs started doing live streams on Instagram. So we all herded, we have the herd mentality in rap, right? So we all went there and we're like, oh, what's going on? Oh my God, look at D-Nice spinning. Oh shit, look at this battle between, KLC and Manny Fresh. Look at,
Babyface.
Like Teddy Riley. So
shit.
We kind of did that for a minute. And then that brought the music back. Like people were like, okay, I've watched everything I can on Netflix, so let me go discover new content on YouTube. Let me go check out TikTok, like the younger folks. Let me go check out what's going on at TikTok. And then our generation, let's go check out Instagram and Facebook. And what it did was it set up a world of consumers that were ready to receive new music. And the indie artists were just there, like, just here's my music, here's my music, here's my music. Mm-hmm. So we've been able to capitalize on not just streaming, but on the merch side of it and doing live shows from our homes. Like, we've really been able to figure out ways to make money other than going to the local club and performing. And it's been wonderful. Yeah. It's been a little harder for, I think, the signed artists at the major labels, because the major labels have been a little tentative. They've kind of been playing a wait and see game. But, in the indie world, we are more risk tolerant, and I think we take more chances. And like I said, my clients haven't slowed down. Like, everybody's just putting music out into the marketplace and marketing it and promoting it.
Straight up. And what's your best as far as on the distributors? Do you like DistroKid, or do you like
I do like DistroKid. I think DistroKid is great for a newer artist. I don't use them for my clients because I need a little bit more support than DistroKid provides. So for my clients, I actually use a company called STEM. And STEM is awesome because they do 92/8 splits. And they just started advancing money in December. The money can get a little expensive, so you got to be careful what type of deal you do. But STEM has been really helpful when we've had problems with YouTube or problems with Spotify or Apple or whoever. They're right there to help us. Yeah. And I need that. And that's something I can't get from TuneCore or DistroKid, but they're great for a brand new artist. Like, if I started rapping, Cory Mo, I would put my music up on DistroKid or TuneCore.
Yeah, straight up. I can dig that. All right, so like, how many different books have you written? I know you got a couple, right? How many books?
I do. Well, it's really one, and I've just updated it. I wrote How to Get a Record Deal in 2011, and then I updated it in 2016. I'm actually just updating it now. Yay to COVID. I'm really just updating it now, so I'll have an even newer version of it. And then in 2016, Slick Rick did the audio version. He did the audio book for How to Get a Record Deal, which was really humbling for me.
That's crazy.
He's my friend, but I don't ask him for shit. And he called me and wanted to do it. Like, he's like, Wendy, I just read your book and it's amazing. Because it not only talks about, like, if you want a record deal, how to get one, but it also talks a little bit about why you don't need one, and it really lets the artist make the decision. And when he read that, he's like, first of all, this is super empowering. Second of all, in reading it, I feel like you're sitting on my couch right next to me, like, talking to me. He's like, it's so easy to read. He's like, I read it in one setting, and I'm not somebody who enjoys reading. And I was really humbled by that. And then after he got done with the compliment, he's like, have you ever thought about doing an audio version? And I'm like, dude, for me to go into the studio and take the time to do that, like no. Like, if people can't read this little 110 page digital book, I feel bad for them, but I'm not gonna like put my company on hold to go do this. And he's like, well, no, that's not what I meant. Like, I was going to do the audiobook for you. I've already started it.
Oh,
I was
shit.
like, what?
That's insane, man.
What an amazing gift. Like Slick Rick the Ruler. Like, really?
Damn.
Awesome.
Damn. Yeah, I might need to holler at you, man. I'm starting to work on my book, so I might need to holler at you about a couple things.
Please, I'm here for you. And do it independently. Like,
got to.
You know, people that are in your circle and your franchise will support you.
Yeah, straight up. So I got one more question for you, and we're gonna get off this thing. So the best advice that you could possibly give to a new artist that's watching, what would it be?
That's hard because there's so many things that I would want to say to a new artist. But if I had to pick one because there's a gun to my head,
I mean, you know, you can pick whatever you want. You can say whatever you want.
Learn the music business. Like, don't just jump in without spending the time to learn what you're jumping into. Because if you learn what's fair and acceptable, you'll never get jerked. And if you learn who the players are and how this really works, you'll learn what rules you can break and what rules you can't break. And you'll be able to succeed more easily because this is one of those industries that's not how it looks. Like, you can sit back and you can watch all the videos on YouTube that you want. You can watch music videos. You can watch Drake's rise to the top, but you cannot learn how this works from that because it's all smoke and mirrors. And people like me that are behind the scenes are behind the scenes for a reason. We're making this look really easy, and it's not. You can't just take music and throw it out on the internet and then sit back and wait to get famous. It really doesn't work that way. And the way that you see artists like Lil Uzi Vert and Drake and Ed Sheeran, if you're outside of rap, and, you know, Miley Cyrus and you know, whoever, you know, they're already on. And the way you market and promote an artist that's already known is way different than what you do when somebody is unknown. And for some reason, new artists always look at the guys that are on and popping and try to replicate what they're doing. And it's not working for them. And the part of that frustrates me most is I've seen people spin their wheels for 5 years, 10 years, you know, however long. And then they end up doing something behind the scenes. And when we sit down years later and they say, yeah, I used to be a rapper, but I guess I wasn't good enough. It really pisses me off because they were good enough. They just didn't take the time to learn how to succeed in this business. They did all the wrong things. And when they didn't get discovered or put on, they felt like, oh, I guess I just wasn't good enough. And that's not it at all. It's like somebody who loves basketball, you know, at 20 years old saying, oh, I'm going to go play for the NBA. Well, dude, if you had done the research, you would have learned that you have to come up through high school and through college, and then you get drafted. You can't just walk onto the court at 21 years old and say, okay, I'm here. I want to play for the, you know, the Rockets or whoever. There's a process, and you've got to learn that process. And sometimes in rap, because it looks so easy, we don't try to learn the process. We just want to step on the court next to LeBron and start shooting, you know, free throws or whatever. It doesn't work that way.
Straight up. Well, shit, man, y'all done heard it from the horse's mouth, man. The legendary Wendy Day has spoken. Know what I'm talking about?
Cory Mo, thank you so much for country rap tunes, because I know that, you know, it's not, you're not becoming a millionaire by doing what you're doing. And you're doing it because you really love the music. And I really thank God for you, because without you and people like you, the culture would be so lost. It would be all about the money. And that's just not what moves us forward.
Man.
The money is great and it's nice, but it's not everything.
Man.
Thank you.
It's like the thing I've learned the most in this business. What will keep you afloat? It ain't the money. It ain't none of that shit. It's your passion and your friendships. That's
your
it.
relationships. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
man,
say
your
it louder for the people in the
relationships.
back.
Straight up, because it ain't nothing else. Because one thing that I figured out, you can be negative in the bank and be in a room full of millionaires and they accept you. But guess what?
Yes.
It can be another millionaire banging on the door trying to get in, but don't nobody respect that punk ass nigga, so they not letting him in. You see what I'm saying? So it's about relationships,
real,
and having respect for people, man, and just, you know what I mean? Stay the hell out the way and just do you.
Right.
Straight up.
You know, the one thing that people never told me before I got into the music industry, it took me 6 years before I made money in music. It took me 10 years before I could support myself. And it took me until, like, I didn't buy the house that I live in. I couldn't afford to buy a house until I was 24 years into the music business.
See?
And nobody ever tells you that. Like, you think you're going to come in and you're going to be a millionaire, you know, at month 3. And that's just not real. I mean, I took a long road. Other people are going to do it faster than I did it for sure, because I started by running a not-for-profit. But still, even if I was making money in music, I could not have done this fast. I wouldn't have been, like, I couldn't have been a millionaire before 10 years in, realistically, if that was my goal. And it's not my goal. But had it been my goal, and nobody tells you that, they make it look like it's fast and easy, and it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, man. It's, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you ain't got the passion for this shit, yeah, it's better find another job, Jack.
Absolutely. Go work for UPS.
You know what I'm saying? Because they definitely hiring. All right, so that's what's up. I appreciate the love, Miss Wendy. And I'm going to be texting you in a minute about some business. You know what I'm talking
Beautiful.
about?
I'm here.
So I appreciate everybody coming out. Download the Country Rap Tunes radio app if you haven't got it already. Wendy Day, holla back.
Thank you, baby. Love you.
All right, peace.